Hello. Welcome to Starlight Talks. I'm here this week with Ava, and we're going to talk
Hi.
all the things that she's done in sensory and theater, all that fun stuff. So stick around for that. I do these live streams every Wednesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time, so come back next week. We do it at the same time every week. If you're on the East Coast, I believe it's 10 o'clock. So yeah, come check us out. I try to do a topic related to autism and try to bring on guests related to the world of autism. Check out autism.com. It's the last few days to get free services. So go sign up the last few days of May. It's all free to do any service and try it out before you have to start paying next month. So take advantage. We've got game night coming up. We've got support groups coming up. We've got all fun stuff. Life map coaching, and we have mentorships. So yeah, take advantage of whatever you need right now. That's why we're here. I have a blog where I write about living on the spectrum on that website, autism.com. And Ava has a bunch of great stuff that we're going to start talking about. Ava's here this week.
Hello.
Talking about sensory and theater. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Ava Rigelhaupt. I am currently on the East Coast, so over here it's 10 p.m., so it's kind of strange to be doing something kind of late, but I'm a late bird anyway. I just like paused my TV show that I was watching and was like, oh, I gotta go now. And my mom's like, I told her, but she forgot. And she was like, something like now? And I was like, yeah, it's like 7 p.m. their time. It's like cool. But yeah, so I first got involved in theater and really started learning about theater and accessibility when so I was diagnosed with autism my senior year of high school, and I just graduated from college now, so that was about 5-6 years ago. And long story short, then I took a gap year between my sophomore year and junior year of college and became a founding member of this new neurodiverse theater company in Providence, Rhode Island, called Spectrum Theater Ensemble. And they have we have artists on and off the autism spectrum. And during that time, we also worked with this great theater company in Rhode Island, Trinity Repertory Company. And they're a great, big established theater company in Rhode Island. They're with Brown University MFA. And so they really wanted to do their first full sensory friendly season. So I assume most people here know what sensory friendly is, but I'll just go over. I believe that sensory friendly is basically making accommodations or theater accessible, the arts accessible to patrons with sensory sensitivities, to things such as light, sound, maybe some online cues of like flipping a table, etc., and making theater more accessible. So at Trinity, one thing we did is we had sensory friendly and sensory friendly plus. And so sensory friendly plus is what most people think of as general sensory friendly, or what England calls relaxed performances. And so those performances were altered for their bigger shows. So that year was Ragtime and A Christmas Carol. They do A Christmas Carol every year. And so those were family friendly. The lights are kept on at half, like I don't forget what they call it, but like a percentage half, so the house lights were kept on. And certain cues were altered. For example, like a cannon in A Christmas Carol didn't go off. Instead, we had people like hand throw confetti and different things. But another thing that was interesting is that sensory friendly at Trinity without the plus was just so the show wasn't altered. But me and a couple other neurodiverse interns sat in on rehearsals and made a trigger list, a sensory trigger list of all the things that happened during the show, and we cross-referenced them and we rated them. And then if one was like a 5 or something, it would be bolded. And the theater hung 2 red warning lights on either side of the stage right and stage left. And right before that cue, a red warning light would come on, so alerting patrons so that they could possibly cover their ears or something like that. And I think one of the things that I really liked about that is because it brought so many people. Some people came to this show and didn't know that they were coming to a sensory friendly production because they just happened to have season tickets to like the first Tuesday of every run, and they just kept coming. But really, it brought people together to understand different needs of different patrons. And on the flip side, of the other side of the sensory friendly sheet, was tips for neurotypicals. And so it explained things such as stimming, why people might be wearing headphones or getting up during the audience. And it brought people together and made an area much more of acceptance. And so that was something really neat. And we got really great feedback from families, including people with PTSD. And because, it really helped them as well, because they were like, I don't need an altered show, but maybe I would, like that really helped me to know when the gunshot would go off in Death of a Salesman. And also it helped adults with autism, because as a lot of people forget sometimes that autistic children grow up to be autistic adults. And so sometimes, autistic adults, they don't want to see a show that's been altered for them, or that's just a show made more for children. And maybe they want to be able to see a more quote unquote adult show, but maybe they just want some more supports, or know that, if they get up or wear headphones, they won't be looked at weird, to be accepting, or to know what's coming. And so I think that was really neat. And Trinity is still doing that to this day. And so this year was my senior year at college. And I was a Ruderman Inclusion Ambassador. So that is with the Ruderman Family Foundation. And so I work with my campus Hillel, because it's through the Ruderman Family Foundation at Hillel International, to make colleges more accepting and more accessible to all students and students with disabilities. And since I really loved theater and my work with theater and the arts, I brought my sensory friendly work over to Trinity, to Sarah Lawrence College, and I worked with them during their spring musical Head Over Heels, and created the first sensory friendly production at Sarah Lawrence College. And so that was really neat, and that's basically my background thus far. And I really enjoyed it as a autistic advocate, writer, actress, and person who really wants to advocate for more representation everywhere of people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's really cool that they were able to do that, because I definitely felt that a lot of my experience with college, with school in general, was not very accommodating.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's way more to autism than just sensory.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a main one. Like, you should know the basics of that. Seems to be one of the first things people learn about autism. And so if you're starting there and you're not accommodating that, then you really haven't accommodated anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've definitely gone to different sensory or autism events, and some are definitely not at all sensory friendly. I'm like, your event is for autistic people. You do know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I've been to other events that are supposed to be sensory friendly that are go way overboard. It's like, I don't need to be coddled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah, I think
it's really cool that you're getting involved in we're getting again, autistic voices being involved in what we need is so important. Mm-hmm. Because yes, all day long, but until you have someone who's like, this is what I need, this is what the community needs, mm-hmm. This is what we want for our accomplishments.
Yeah, I know another friend of mine worked with the school. She was part of SLAC, Sarah Lawrence Activities Committee, and she worked with SLAC to make a quiet room during their fall formal, because our fall formal oftentimes has strobe lights or steam or whatever. This year was out of space. They had people in hazmat suits, which I think was a little bit like too on the nose, like before all this started. A little strange. But anyway, so yeah, you like walked it because it was supposed to be like alien, like extraterrestrial themed. It was pretty funny, but yeah, and so I heard that she got really great feedback about creating a quiet room. And I think also just having the school send out an email in general about having, you know, a quiet room or a sensory friendly production makes people be like, I wonder what that is. You know, people who might not know about it. And it brings awareness to all these different needs of different types of people and makes it more, makes it less weird, you know. So the sensory friendly production of the musical was the Saturday matinee, open to everyone. We gave out these cute little stress balls in shapes of brains. So like, and people were having fun, and it was, you know, just created awareness to students that you know, many of them obviously were coming and were already interested in the arts, and awareness to students about, you know, the different types of students at Sarah Lawrence campus, and also to administrators of Sarah Lawrence that it doesn't take, you know, we didn't change the entire production, and it didn't take that much to become more accommodating and create a more inclusive space for others.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want to out themselves as having a disability or being on the spectrum, being neurodiverse, and like I'm outed pretty quickly because I have a service dog, like so I have to be out, and even so to have a sensory friendly that's not just like autistic people going, anyone can go and still experience, you know, the regular show. Is awesome, so that you don't feel like you're, you know, part of like you have to out yourself, that you have to be like, I'm the disabled, you know, and you can also, if you want to inform people about it, you have that opportunity.
Yeah, we gave tips for neurotypical, similar to my work with Trinity. And I really liked what one of my panelists, so I had a panel in conjunction of people who work in from New York City, and one person was from Philadelphia, who are advocates and people who work in creating more accessible theater. And one panelist, Roger Adeshi, in an interview, not mine, but that I read before I you know, started talking to him, he said, because he's worked with museums and a lot of different places, he says, we don't want to create a exhibit or a show, you know, a special exhibit for special people. We want to create something that everyone can enjoy. And I really like that, because I think, in my opinion, people with disabilities are kind of tired of like, this is just for you. And we want to be part of everything. We want to be able to be included.
Yeah, like they have, you have movie theaters, you're supposed to be able to get the closed caption, just and it doesn't affect the performance of the movie. They're not putting the captions on the screen for literally everyone to see. You get your own device. And there's all different ways of the inclusion happening for all sort of disabilities. They have seats for wheelchairs. You can, you know, move from the wheelchair to a seat, or you can pull up into those seats, and there's, you know, you can have your friends next to you. So there's all different ways that like disability is already included in, you know, our regular everyday lives. To expand that just a little bit more, people who aren't yet included, is just so amazing to allow that to take place.
Yeah, I think more and more people are starting to expand and to think beyond what they've normally thought about. Another great quote that I have is from, I believe, a Jewish activist, and she said, it's not just about building ramps, like physical ramps, it's about ramping minds. And I was like, wow. I think I also heard that quote at my training. I was like, mind blown. Because I really like that quote too. Because most people do think of just, you know, physical ramps, or as some people are talking about, how some businesses only do what ADA requires. But it's always better to go above and beyond, and to not just do the bare minimum.
Know what is required by law, let alone like doing the bare minimum.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, there's some that, like, if you inform them, they'll be like, okay, go ahead, do your thing.
Mhm.
But, you know, it just would be nice if we had a world that was way more inclusive and accepting of just differences, and we didn't look at someone funny for acting out in a way that we wouldn't.
Mhm.
Because everyone's different, and you don't know where other people are coming from, and what's upsetting to someone else may be enjoyable for another person. And
Mhm.
remembering that is important.
Yeah. I was going to wear yellow for this, but then I forgot. Then I had to run over and log on and hope I was clicking the right link. So I was like, oh man, I think Chloe's wearing yellow. So I assume your favorite color is yellow?
It is. Yes, I wear
Yes.
yellow every day. There's
Cool.
a community of us that do that. I'm not
That
alone.
wear yellow?
Yes.
My mom knew this one purple person. They called her the purple person because I think she was like this lady that lived in this like I think it's still there or something. But every now and again, you see like a total purple house. So you drove past, and I'm like, that house is entirely purple. And my mom said, I knew this really old lady who was like a purple person, and like everything in her house was purple. Like she dressed in purple,
Mhm.
she just wore purple. I was like, oh, sounds cool. My favorite colors are depending on the day or just like the moment, like well, my favorite color probably is Tiffany blue, like very exact, very specific. Tiffany or robin's egg, whatever you wish to call it. Or pink, kind of more like either a baby pink or a hot pink, just depending on like, you know. Sometimes I'm a preppy person, so I do have a lot of pink polos.
I'm really into color therapy, so like I'm like
Mm.
thinking about.
What's color therapy?
So color therapy, I'm very visually oriented, so I'm very affected
Mm-hmm.
by color, or very affected by light, and so color therapy is the use of colors to help you with emotional regulation with everyday
Mm-hmm.
life. Um, so if you look into color therapy, different colors affect you so differently, and so like there's a lot of stereotypes out there that like if someone's wearing black, they're
Mm-hmm.
depressed. Well, I looked into black.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're depressed because you're wearing black. You're
Mm-hmm.
wearing black because you're emotionally dysregulated. Black is a very comforting color for emotional pain. White
Mm-hmm.
is a very comforting color to physical pains, like medical pain. Um, if you have a lot of anxiety, you will be drawn to blue because it's very calming for that. So,
Mm-hmm.
based on what your favorite color is and why it's changed over time, has a
Mm-hmm.
lot to do with color therapy, especially if you're affected by color. So, like, I learned a lot about people by asking them about their favorite color. A lot of people think it's
Ah.
very arbitrary, but it's actually like there's a reason you're drawn to different colors.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of fatigue, and that's why I'm drawn to yellow. It's it does a couple of things. It gives you energy,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually makes you hungry, which is why it's in a lot of restaurants.
Yes. Isn't that red too sometimes? Red makes you hungry.
Yeah,
Sometimes, like studies, yeah, red and those, yeah.
red, yellow, orange, those brighter colors make
Hmm.
you hungrier. But like if you're surrounded by those colors too much, they can overwhelm you and make you angry. Um, uh, there's So if you're an angry person, you probably
Hmm.
don't like red, even though that's like supposed to be like the angry color. You
Yeah.
know, um, uh, you'd probably be more drawn to purple. That would be more calming to that kind of energy. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with color.
Hmm.
And there's now it's trending. There's these tinted glasses you can wear
Hmm.
that just give you a tint of some color as you look at the world. That's
Hmm.
color therapy. So if you're using the right colors in the right way, it can really affect your mood and actually brighten up your day.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, so if you're really anxious, I recommend getting those blue tinted glasses,
Hmm.
and trying that out, and it just makes your world a little bit more blue. Just like
Hmm.
you're still seeing.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's calming to that anxiety.
Interesting. I was just picturing when you're saying color tinted glasses, like those like 3D glasses. One's like red and one's yellow. No,
I mean, it is.
I don't know. One's blue. I don't know, but like both.
They're
Yeah.
like they're not plasticky looking, but they're like all one color, and they have like heart shapes and like different kind of shapes. I've seen them at a lot of shops now. They're kind of trendy.
I'll look into them. Though I am definitely like I can't draw to save my life. My mom's a very visual person. She's like a graphic designer and has made logos for people, so she's very visual. But I'm more like I mean, obviously, I guess some people, you know, how some people are like, do you think in like pictures or do you think in like words? You know, like I think you know the one of the famous autistics like Temple Grandin thinks in pictures. I do not think in pictures. Don't do like math. Like, um, I think definitely in words. Like I have constant monologues going on in my head, and you know. But some people think in pictures. I'm like, well, what do you mean think in pictures? Like instead of like having a to-do list, I'm not sure, but it's really neat to how different people think.
And it gets complex than that too. Yeah, I definitely looked into that because I think it's important to learn about yourself, how you think, because it's gonna affect language you use, how you communicate, and like so many different things. So for me, like I think more in pictures, and I do have a little bit of monologue. It's not a lot. I have like my own voice, but there's other people that have external voices in there, which is crazy. Like their voice doesn't sound like their voice. Sometimes it sounds like someone else speaking to them.
I mean, the only thing is like when I read text from friends that I've talked to like a lot, I can sometimes read it in their voice.
Yeah.
Or if it's like a famous character, you might know their voice because they're a famous actor or something. Or you read a text in your mom's voice, but most of the time it's my voice, I think.
So there's like that internal monologue of the big example is like when you're not mentally healthy, you get those voices telling you when you're talking to someone, they give you a compliment. Oh, they're just saying that because they're pitying you. That voice often sounds like somebody else saying it to some people. My sister's like that. She has this voice in her head that sounds like this very bro-y guy. And there's also thinking not in words and not in visuals, but in the five senses, which is crazy to think about.
I have a really good sense of smell. I don't think in smell, but I really do like perfumes. I have a ton back in my room.
You're probably sensory stimulated by smell, or I'm more visual.
Yeah.
So if you were, you'd probably be way more calmed by like lavender than I am because I can't smell at all.
Yeah. Or
probably
wear a certain type of perfume all the time. They're like walking behind me. I kind of like know. I'm like, oh, I think that's that person because I just have it's fun. I created my own perfumes a couple of times. But yeah, that's one of my like neat skills.
I have a fun story about that. I don't wear perfume, but like during the hot weather, I wear bug spray because I get eaten alive.
Oh yeah, me too.
Kind of citrusy, and I've had people go, "Oh, that's a nice perfume," and I'm like,
I think girls are often bitten. Like girls and babies, I heard, just like literally have sweeter blood. Obviously, some men, but like it's types of blood that they go to.
Oh, I'm just always during hot weather.
Always get bitten, yeah.
So I have the bug spray, and I've multiple occasions people have said that's a nice perfume. I'm like,
my bug spray smells really bad. Like it says like could possibly give you all these diseases. I'm like, but I guess I just need to put it on because I'm not getting eaten a lot. Like I've worn jeans and still gotten bug bitten.
Same.
So sometimes in the summer, if I know I might be going out like past 6 and like that's when the bugs start coming out, I don't put on perfume because then bugs will come. Like one time I was wearing a sweet perfume and I was standing outside and I forgot that I was wearing it because I was just staying outside with my dog and I was like, why are like bees starting to come I think I was wearing like a pink polo too, and I was like, no.
Yeah, wearing yellow, the bees are definitely attractive. And sometimes I get a butterfly, and that's kind of fun.
That's nice. I knew one person who was afraid of butterflies. I'm like, are you afraid of butterflies? She's like, I'm just afraid of like small flying objects. We're like, okay, that's reasonable.
I mean, butterflies actually have a pretty scary looking face if you see the face. The wings are
I
beautiful.
don't know.
I know people don't think of the face, but I'm like,
they're kind of strange looking. I've looked at some butterflies, like at the butterfly exhibit,
yeah.
like like the dead ones that are like pinned up. Oh, that's a really large butterfly. But
I got a comment here. This might sound kind of funny, and it's not yoga / new age spiritual like, but I am attracted to different stones, color being part of their quality. Do you guys ever use those? I haven't myself, but my cousin uses I think it's amber for her baby, and it helps her to not teeth and not calms her. And I don't know why she has this like necklace that does that, and it actually works. Like I've seen it on her versus not on her. I don't know how it works, but I do know that stones work, and then in that kind of ways I've seen them. It's so weird. Like I don't know how to like what the science would be, but there's also like I believe heavily in the placebo effect. So if you believe it works, it's gonna work.
Yeah. I think the power of mind is pretty strong. My mom really likes stones, so she got me into like just collecting stones on the beach, like finding nice smooth ones. I don't have any on my desk, but I got her. So like one of the books I got her for her birthday a while ago was called like Beach Stones, and just like pictures of cool beach stones. She makes jewelry, so she really likes like amber, and not necessarily all the time like the healing effects, but sometimes the history. Like if you buy antique amber, like where it came from and stuff. When we were, so I'm adopted from China, and so when we went back to China in 2007. A long time ago, she bought this really large, like I'm talking really large, like amber beads the size like this. It's like a prayer bead necklace, like in Buddhism. And so it's hung off and it's all amber. So she likes stones more than me. Another one of my friends does Reiki. I don't really understand that, but I think it's about stones. But I think my mom mainly likes stones, the natural, how they come in different sizes, and you can kind of like, there's this book that she got me, a children's book called Everybody Needs a Rock. And it's really cute because it talks about how you have to find your right rock. Like you can't have like, this is a paperweight, but you can't have like a rock like this size. This is like too big. You can't have a rock that's like, the size of a pebble. It's going to fall out. You have to have like the right one. Then it's kind of like a comfort object. Like you hold it, you can slip it in your pocket. So anyway, I went off about rocks, but sometimes we would come back. So I'm in the East Coast, but we would always visit my grandmother in Rhode Island. And we would come back from the beach with tons of beach stones. And TSA would be like, what's in your suitcase? Rocks? And my mom would be like, yeah, actually, we got some rocks in there. We're bringing back to Ohio. So now we don't collect as many. We don't feel the need as much since we live there. But yeah, we would bring back rocks in our suitcase sometimes.
Yeah, I remember wanting to collect rocks when I was little. I don't so much anymore, but there's just like such an excitement about it that I used to have.
Rocks and shells. And then you go to the beach stores and they're like, buy this shell for like $6, more like $12, and you're like, I found the same one for free on the beach. Like, I mean, unless it's like a large conch shell or something. You're like, literally, I could find this stuff on the beach too. Like, why are they selling rocks?
And then there's like the little rocks that they carved into little animals and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like collecting things is such a like fun thing to do as a kid, and like having like look at all these little things I have.
Oh, I love collecting things. My mom always says like, but my mom collects stuff too. But it's really funny. So I always like I have a lot of stuff. I'm not big about throwing things out. Or if so, sometimes like when clothes get too small and I get like sad. Like one time this dress got too small or something. And I think this is somewhat of like, in my opinion, a little bit of an autistic thing. Like I really love getting new clothes. Like I'm not the same type of person that wears the same clothes every day or something, but I do get attached to things. So like if some of my pink polos were getting too small, I'm very reluctant to give them up until I find replacement ones, like very similar. So like we have to go online and look like on eBay to find like the very same similar polos, or it's actually kind of easy. My mom's a great eBay shopper. And then I'm like, all right, I can give these 4 away because I got like 5 more coming. Like I was like, all right, like I have to go and like find shoe like yeah, so sometimes I was like, no, I don't want to give that dress away. She's like, I'll try to find one like really similar to it. So that's but then my mom's like, Ava, you have a ton of like pillows, or sometimes it's just like random, like you have a ton of paper clips. I'm like, oh yeah, I collect paper clips now. Like I saw my collection, like I collect paper clips, like, but I do like I really like stationery, so I do say I collect pens, yeah, perfumes, I don't know, a lot of stuff. But whenever my mom's like, you have too much of them, I'm like, oh yeah, I collect it. All right, it's a collection now. They say 3's a collection, so. But yeah.
Yeah, my first dog was a Dalmatian, so I have like
Mhm.
the Dalmatian figure collection,
Ooh.
and I my favorite Disney character is Goofy, and like we proposed to each other a few times back and forth over the years.
Your favorite Disney character is who?
Goofy.
Oh, Goofy, yeah.
So I have a collection of Goofy figurines and paintings and stuff. And so like recently I've been going through my stuff, and I like found like old figurines. It just like made me so happy. I'm like, oh my god, I have to put them on my shelf.
Yeah. My first dog, and my only dog, but she passed away unfortunately before we moved. Like my freshman year of college. Like what a time, man. Um but she was a poodle. So I don't have that much like poodle stuff, but you can see like I have a stuffed animal. I really like poodles. But Dalmatians are really neat. Like they're kind of rare dogs. You don't see them everywhere. So when you see one, you're like, that's Dalmatian. Like it's got the spots. And poodles, everyone knows. Like even when Ruby, oh wait, I got a picture. So this is when Ruby's like pretty well groomed. You all see it? If I move it, oh, I moved the other direction. But even when she was pretty scruffy, people would be like, "That's a poodle." We say we like rescued her, but we just adopted her from. So she was a retired show dog. We got her when she was 4. Long story short, everyone loves talking about their dogs, and she didn't have a home. Like the breeder didn't keep. She wasn't like a home dog. She was only like like one of those show dogs, like not at like the big ones like AQA, whatever it's called, but pretty big in Ohio show dog. She like won. But she was really happy to have a home. But I would always dress her up in my clothes. And in this picture you can't see, but like her toenails are painted pink. Like they have I gotta okay no. They gotta like yeah, there you go.
This is my service dog, and this is kind of depressing to say, but we fit into each other's clothes. Well, not each other. We fit in my clothes, mostly my shirts, especially crop tops.
Mm-hmm.
I share my crop tops with him, and like
Ruby had tons of outfits. Not mainly my shirts because they wouldn't like fit her, but you know she had like Halloween outfits. And the joke is, I read once online like dogs know that Halloween is like the one time that they pay rent for living in your house for free, living and getting fed for free. So they let you dress her up. But I think because Ruby was a retired show dog, she was pretty lax about me dressing her up. Oh, look, another dog.
it is cute.
Hi. Yeah, I miss having a dog, but we live in an apartment complex that allows dogs. So sometimes before this time, I used to walk people's dogs, and we would always see people out with dogs. So it was nice. It was kind of like, took place of having a dog, but it is hard. It is harder if you have a dog in an apartment because are you like on like a first floor, or do you have to like go in an elevator or stairs to let your dog go? What?
I'm in a house.
Oh, that's nice. see, that's why we didn't want to get a dog here.
Yeah.
One, because we were still grieving, but also because we live on the 5th floor, and that's like not that tall in like the world. We used to go to like wake up, you gotta like put on some clothes, like go in the elevator, like take your dog outside. It's not just
Yeah.
like if you live in a house, let open the door and like, you know,
Yeah. Like
so it's harder.
right here, and where I'm moving, I have like a side yard, which like
Mhm.
doesn't have a door in the house. You have to like go out and then go through a gate to get to it.
Mhm.
But it's on the first floor. It's like
Yeah,
right there, you know, and
that's convenient. You can go out in your jammies.
my dog doesn't run away, so like I don't even have to put a leash on him most of the time. You
Our
know,
dog
he
too.
follows
Mhm.
me. So so I can see myself going out in my pajamas, letting the dog
Mhm.
go
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've definitely been in situations like I've gone on vacation and we're on like the 30th floor of a hotel or like
Mhm.
I'm also afraid of heights, so that's like a whole other thing. So like I hate that
I
experience.
get it. I don't like heights
Keep
where
the
I can
windows closed,
see.
don't open them.
I don't like heights where I can see how high up I am, right? Like I don't mind being up in a high building and or like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like some people don't like that. But I don't like heights where I can see how high up I am and know that I could like possibly fall. So that means like bridges, that means like, you know, ski lifts. That means like, you know, like open stuff. Like we went on the ski lift one time in China, I was like so afraid I was gonna like fall out. I was like sitting all the way in the back, and my mom was like, "Ava, you're not gonna fall out." I'm like, how do you know? There's like no seatbelts in this thing. Um, Sometimes if you're in a tall building, I don't like looking out, but if you're in a building, it's like rare, you know. But
I'm
yeah,
not
I'm not a big fan of like
to
ropes
fall. It's
courses.
not like that I want to fall from a tall building, obviously, but like I'm not afraid of falling for some reason. I'm just afraid of being up high. Not rational. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but I'm just not open for like ropes courses or stuff like up high, but also like not normal up high, like you know, abnormal up high, I guess.
yeah. So I've had to take Benji, my service dog, out
Mm-hmm.
in a hotel, and it's just so exhausting. Um, Especially on days you just want to rest. You have to take him down. Oh, and the cold weather. Like I'm like,
Oh yeah,
cold weather. Just like, can you hurry up? He's taking his time. It's raining, and he's just like, ah, da, 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 da.
I know. Well, my dog hated going outside in the rain, but if it was cold or the snow, she liked it. But it would always be really funny because my dog would sleep on my bed, and so but like sometimes you know like dogs know like when you're up, so like you try to
Yeah,
like lay really like to not let them know that you're up, because then the minute they know you're up, because they like wake up when the sun's up because they're like natural, you know, up animals, and so like no, I'm not up, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. Like, oh, you're up, like you gotta take me out. Luckily I could fall back to sleep really quickly and my dog fall back to sleep with me. But I was like, Ruby would first, sometimes depending on like where she would sleep. She would sometimes sleep with my mom and sometimes sleep with me. But like she would go between our rooms and like try to wake us up. She wouldn't bark, but she, you know, she would have long nails because we like didn't cut them as much. So they would make that like dog nail sound and she was walking on the thing. And then she would like, our night tables were kind of low. So sometimes she like start like knocking stuff off the night table or start breathing really heavy. And just like making noise, and we would shout to each other, "It's your turn to take her up." No, no, you have to get. No, I have school. I have to wake up in 2 hours. You go. Especially if it was really cold. We'd be like, Ruby, why aren't you coming back? We want to go back to sleep. And we would be like, yeah.
but
I
we love
miss it, yeah.
our
Yeah.
dogs. They just are morning people.
Yeah.
My dog,
I mean, Ruby loved sleeping, but, you know, she had to
my
go to the bathroom when she woke up like us.
yeah. And like my service dog, he loves to snuggle in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's so funny because he works. He learned what a weekend was and what,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, and especially when I was at school, like those
Mm-hmm.
8 classes, I think he hated more than me. He was like, He's like, I don't, it's boring. He would go to those classes and he would like sleep through them, and he would make these like, like he was bored. And then supervisors like, would be like, who did that? That was so rude. I'm like, stop.
That's funny.
But he likes classes
I think
like,
he just showed the emotions of everyone there that were
yeah,
hiding them.
probably too, that
Yeah.
too. So he loved film classes and acting classes where like people were engaging and like were running around and doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But like classes like science or math where you're just sitting there and like he was like, I hate this, let's leave. And then on weekends, so like he knew when those classes were like 8 a.m. He's like, I don't want to go, and he'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm to sleep. And then on weekends, he got up really, really early and was like, let's go do something. So funny. He's like a little kid. So we got a question, Chloe. How have you guys found work in theater and film? I have an interest in both and trying to find my niche. I mostly found it through networking.
Mm-hmm.
Just reaching out to people I know, and going to events that have to do with film. If you are at a school, a lot of times they have alumni events, and all sorts of things like that. Just going to events, meeting people, and showing your stuff. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I did it, because I don't like the I found, like, especially with autism and disabilities, the process of applying and interviewing and all that stuff doesn't really work for us as well.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
when you talk to someone and you go, here's my script or here's my reel, and look at how much information I know and I can talk to you all night about it, they're like, they know
Mm-hmm.
their stuff. And then when you work with them, like we're really hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us on the spectrum, especially if we love what we do,
Mm-hmm.
really into film and theater, you're gonna put in that effort, to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so that's how I've done it. And I've done internships and been invited to all different projects because people know how hard I work at it, and like they've invited me to try different things. So
Mm-hmm.
they know I don't know what it is or how to do it, but they're like, she's gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for
I
doing
agree with Chloe. Just like, I always enjoy sending out cold emails. I met you through sending out a cold email, and you never know who you're going to get back in response or whatever. But it's so much easier now than like when my mom was growing up and we used to have to like write actual letters and then like telephone call. It's so weird whenever like you're on Zoom, you hold up like the hand, but like the opposite hand comes up. It's like a mirror. You're like, Mom, I know I held up like this. In my mind it was different. But yeah, and so I think definitely it's rough because autistic people struggle, at least in my opinion, like with that interview or audition where like the first impressions, like that quick first impression, and sometimes I struggle with that quick first impression or the small talk, with the director or whatever. And so I think just finding connections and people who know about you and who want to work with you, and more people, luckily, as we are just talking about, it's a slow process, but I think people more and more are becoming open to people with disabilities and wanting to have more diversity, or feeling like they need to have more diversity, which I think is, both of them helps us. And so yeah, it's a slow process, and sometimes, depending on what the job is or what I'm doing, I don't always disclose, but it just depends, but definitely like networking and just getting out there and start doing things. One of the things my mom said to me is that she never realized, like, she was like, how come people aren't like contacting me, like like when she was young, she was like, I realized like you have to start doing something, and then people will like eventually see what you're doing. If you're just like sitting at home, no one's obviously going to know about you, and that's hard, right? Because then you have to like learn how to like get yourself out there and whatnot. So it's a process, and I'm still learning how to do it, and I think it got harder and easier during this time.
I just think the more people you know and the more you put yourself out there, you want someone to have the opportunity to create a project and then think of you.
Yep. Yeah.
So you want to make as many friends as you can in the industry, and that's really how I've gotten most of my gigs. Is they know someone who. Someone knows someone who knows someone who's doing a project and reached out and said, "Hey, does anyone know anyone who does this?"
Yeah.
Oh, Chloe does that, and it's them, and they're like, "Oh my god, I got all these recommendations for Chloe. I don't know who she is, but I'm gonna reach out to her." You know?
Yeah.
That's how I've gotten most of my stuff done, and how I've gotten other people onto my projects.
I think that's how a lot of people, not just autistics, how the world kind of works. Networking and alumni and people, hearing great things about you and being like, oh yeah, like, I was just reading something that Chloe wrote, or I just saw something, you're constantly kind of somewhere, they're seeing the feed of autism or something. Like, oh yeah. And then, unfortunately, it could take a while. It could be like a couple of years or something. But then people start being like, oh yeah, like, why do I keep seeing this name or something? And then they think about you when something comes up.
Yeah, I've gone to like so many like film parties for like and speaking events for film and all different kinds of things, and for festivals for film, and just like used when I have the energy. Like sometimes I'm there and I can't talk to people, and I don't have the energy for that. But when I do, I like try to talk to people and introduce myself and get my name passed around, or get I use my sister now. She's on a TV show, so I go, oh, my sister's an actress, and I do film and blah blah blah. I like drop names.
Yeah. No, she's really great. Yeah, I saw her obviously on Everything Is Going to Be Okay, and then I think my mom and I finished like binging everything, and then we just happened to be we were like, oh, I don't know what else we're gonna watch, and so then or like maybe a couple days later or something, and then we watched a couple episodes and saw her episode of NCIS New Orleans, and we paused and we were like, my mom was like, that looks like the same person. I was like, no, and like, that looks like the same person. And I was like, I don't know. And then when they said she's autistic, I was like, could be this. So then we like paused it and like IMDb'd, and we were like, it's the same person. It's the same person. And I was like, this is great. But it's always funny when that's that, and it's like, no, I don't think it's the same actor. Like, man, I don't know. But yeah.
And they were filmed nowhere near together, but they came out together.
That's what happens.
Yeah, so yeah, because she was in the later episodes of Everything's Gonna Be Okay, or she makes like small appearances in the beginning, and then she's bigger parts. So right as her part gets really big, you like notice her that ends, and then NCIS came out like immediately after it, even though they weren't filmed together. Like she had long since stopped filming Everything's Gonna Be Okay, and then they released it. That, and then she actually had to like come from filming to like to one of the live tweetings of like the finale.
I always forget how long it takes to like edit film, like because people like they're like releasing new episodes of something, and I'm like, how are they releasing it like during COVID? And I'm like, I was like, obviously they haven't like filmed it during this time, but it's like many months to making. I was in a student film, and I had like no clue how long it took to edit film, so I like emailed my friend. It was like a month later, and I was like, hey, like how's the film going? And she's like, it's going pretty good. I was like, do you think I can see it sometime? Like, I was like, how have you gotten? And she was like, I'm only like 2 minutes in. I was like, what do you mean you're like 2 minutes in? Like, this is a 20-minute movie. It was filmed like a month ago. And she was like, I was like, how long does it take to edit a movie? And she's like, how long does it take to edit a movie? Okay, well, actor, your job is done. But do you know, I don't think she said that, but I totally felt like, she's like, do you know that once your job is done, I've been over in like Heimel, that's the visual arts, Sarah Lawrence, like till 5 a.m. Because I think the thing is like for every like 1 minute of film, it's like an hour worth of editing or something. And I was like, oh, that's why it takes so long for like feature films to be done.
On the project too, like if you had special effects, if you had these different
I was like, I wouldn't want your job. I don't think I would be a good film editor. I mean, I've made some pretty good eye movies, but that's just about it.
I know, and there's like all these film professors and stuff and teachers who are like, make a film in a week, and I'm like, okay.
Okay, I guess I'll do it like shaky cam. Like whenever I see a movie feel like they and the things like they're like shaky cam, and I'm like, I didn't come to see a movie. It looked like it's filmed on an iPhone, shaky cam style. Like I can just see professional. Like it's mostly like horror movies, like people filming like themselves, and then like they see like a ghost or something. But I'm not big on shaky cam films. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, more specifically, what kind of things do you think one should focus on to present? I also have an interest in screenwriting. I would
Me too.
say keep creating. If you're a writer, keep writing and keep reading and keep watching films. If you're,
Read a lot, yeah.
yeah, read a lot. And people in your lives and steal everything they do and say.
Yeah, definitely. That's what helps, like with reading. You get to know. I mean, obviously, you can't get your hands on scripts of like movies all the time, but reading, I'm interested in screenwriting too, and also I love creative writing. It's similar and different at the very same time. You're creating a story in both, but creative writing, um, is just like a little bit more different, in my opinion. The difference of screenwriting and creative writing. Creative writing, you can go on for like 2 pages of how like yellow Chloe's shirt is. You can be like, Chloe's shirt is like so yellow. It's like and then like you go on about like the meadows of like flowers. You don't do that in screenwriting, like
No,
Chloe's
you
wearing
can't.
shirt, which I like and I don't like. Um, but you're still creating stories in both of them, and forget where I learned about that. Oh, but reading different books gives you, how different, a little bit more for a creative, but different narration or dialogue. So how different people talk.
Perspectives, different characters,
Yeah.
diversity.
Mhm.
Going through different time periods, like what time
Mhm.
period should I set my story and who should be the narrator, who should be the lead, who should,
Yeah.
shifting those characters around, going like, should it be ensemble cast? Should it be this? Should it be that? Should it be
Mhm.
first person perspective? Should it, there's
Yeah.
so many different ways of writing, and to find the right way to tell the story you want to tell is important. So reading all these different ways that it's been done and picking the best one for your story and having all these tools to pull from, that's important.
Mhm.
Going to um, going to workshops,
Watching a lot of films for screenwriting.
going to workshops, taking classes, not
Mhm.
necessarily to learn stuff, but to meet people. Like,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I remember one thing that was really funny about writing. My screenwriting professor, Fred Stripe at Sarah Lawrence College. He's like a really great screenwriting professor. He's actually out in LA now trying to set up 2 different programs. Like a study abroad program and another like master's program for screenwriting. But he's quite a character. So he came in to class one day, jumped on, it was like a large round table, jumped on top of the table. He was like wearing his sunglasses for coming outside, jumped on the table, and started doing some, I didn't know it because I'm like not up on all the time pop culture, but started doing like some pop culture rap, like rap poem or something. And then he jumped down off the table and sat on the ground for a couple minutes. And we were like, Fred, like, are you okay? Like, what just happened? Like, he literally just came and jumped on the table. And we were like, but was already kind of like an eccentric person. And we're like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe Fred lost it. It was like near the end of the semester. We were all kind of losing it. Like, we were like, I don't know. But then he wrote up on the board. He said, the professor came into the class, addressed the students, and sat down. True or false? And we were like, and he said, is this statement true or false? And we were like, well, it's not like false, but it's also not true. And he's like, you got to tell me, like, true or false? And we're like, guess it's true. Like, you came in, you talked to us, and he was like, okay, but why are you arguing with me? And we were like, because that's not what happened. You came in, you jumped into, and he was like, so basically, this is like about like a mini screenwriting thing. He was like, yes, you have to write what you see and hear exactly how it is or how you imagine it, because otherwise you leave it up interpretation to the director, who obviously can't see in your mind that you pictured the professor jumping on the table and you're like, because you would be like, no, like that's not how I picture it. Like you guys, you get it. Like when you're writing your story and you know like how it's supposed to be, and someone's like, I don't understand what's going on here. And you're like, didn't you know that the person jumped on the table? I didn't have to tell you. Like it's just obvious, but it's not obvious, obviously, to your readers. That was kind of a tangent, but it just reminded me about screenwriting. But yeah, I really love reading books. So during this time, I'm trying to, get read all the books that I never was able to read. Had time to read. I recently finished this great new book called Trust Exercise by Susan Choi, and it's a newish book published, and it's basically about these kids that go to performing arts high school. I didn't go to performing arts high school, but I knew many people that did. It just seemed like, oh, that's cool. I like theater, So, so I was reading it, and it's a really great book. Except it's really like confusing because the first portion of the book, like it's broken into three. So the first third of the book is like basically you learn this entire book is about the idea of truth and everyone having their own truth, their own perspective of the same story. So like each portion of the book is a different perspective, somewhat, not spoiler, of the same story of like what happened at that high school, basically. And then it also hits a little bit on the Me Too movement. But it's a really great story and a really great book. Except that it's true. When you finish the first portion, the second portion kind of like is from a different perspective of another student there, and you're like, man, I just thought I understood everything, and now I don't. But that's a new book. And then I really want to read 1984. I might get that. Like, my library now has like ebooks, because libraries are mainly more or less closed. I think they're doing some sort of like curbside pickup, different times. That's kind of annoying because then I can't check out all the books, and I'm not a fan of reading online. Because I like holding a book, and also I feel like we're looking at screens so much these days. Like when I was doing online classes, like because my school shut down after spring break, they're like, "Yep, online classes." You would be like, it was kind of like class was the time that you weren't on your screen because you're like sitting and listening to the professor. But then now class became like this, and then you had to like have class online and then do your homework online. So then, like, my eyes were hurting by the end of the day.
Oh yeah, like all my work's online, so I don't like everyone's recommending TV shows and all these things. I'm like, I can't watch anything, do anything, play video games or anything like that after I'm done with work because I'm just done with screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I used to like work used to be in person, and I'm like, oh, I don't need people. I want to watch a movie or something. So it's very different now, where I have to find like new activities to fill my free time.
Yeah, my mom and I do yoga.
Yeah,
We
I love
do yoga online, just free YouTube videos.
Yeah, so we're coming down to the end of the hour. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for watching and
Yeah, thank you.
questions. Ava, thank you for coming on. And
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Please check out artism.com. We have free services till the end of the month. Take advantage of everything you can. Yeah, come back next week. I do these talks every Wednesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time. Ava, do you have any parting words for everybody?
I don't think so. Is there a way for you to like put a link in the comments of my article?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Cool. Yeah. But thank you so much for joining. It's really excited to talk to Chloe and not Zoom. I don't know what this is. Chat in with Autism.
Yeah, yeah. I love meeting people through here. Again, networking, right? I met so many cool people through doing this project. Here is, I hope that went through. That is Ava's article I just posted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay colorful. Goodbye.
Goodbye. as they say on the Olympics, like good morning, good evening, and good night.
Yes.
Yeah.